First of all, I mean, if we're talking about Young, Levis, Stroud, and Anthony Richardson, or somebody else, which of those guys is your favorite, Warren? Who's the guy for you?
I think Bryce Young is my favorite. CJ Stroud is right there, but I love Bryce Young the way he plays. The only big negative on him is his size. That's what everybody's concerned about. But as far as his instincts, his leadership ability, his playmaking ability, he's the guy that I've really enjoyed watching the last couple of years in college football, and I think he's going to be a tremendous pro as long as he stays healthy. But that's true with any of these guys. You can be 6'4", 240 pounds, and still get hurt. So. He's played this game a long time and played up through college football, has had very few injuries. So hopefully that will continue when he gets in the NFL.
Has the conversation, Warren, about his size, has that gotten too much attention? Has that been made too much of to be too big of a big deal? He's 5'10". Obviously, it's not prototypical size. Has this been overblown?
I think it has, but I think guys like Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray
Yeah.
and other guys like that have dispelled the rumor that you don't have to be a real tall guy to be successful in this league. So I think the big thing that everybody's concerned about is nobody's ever gone this high in the draft at his size.
Right.
Well, we've seen a lot of things happen for the first time, and this will probably be a first for a guy his size being drafted this high. But I think he's going to live up to the expectations.
I know, a lot of people thought C.J. Stroud might go number one. Do you think that he ends up going to the Texans?
I don't know. A lot of people are talking about the Texans might go defense. They might not even go with a
Yeah.
quarterback. And that's one of the things that happens in the drafts. Everybody's so fixated on the quarterback
Yeah.
because you have to have one these days. But that doesn't mean all these guys are surefire changer your franchise
Right.
around right away when they get there. So you have to be very careful that you don't buy into all the hype and really get somebody that you really want. And if there's not somebody there that you're really in love with, maybe you go in another direction.
Warren, I know where you get drafted. Obviously, it has a big impact on how much money you make. So from that standpoint, it's important. But it is in the entire realm of things. When you look back on a career, is where you're drafted, how high you're drafted. Does that all matter that much in the end? I mean, you look at yourself. You don't get drafted. You're one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. Didn't matter for you, right? So does it actually matter? I know we make a big deal about where guys get drafted.
Yeah, you can look, like I said, at Russell Wilson. He was drafted in the third round, and look where he is right now. He's one of the highest paid
Yeah.
players in the league. I mean, I can go on and on. Jalen Hurts, a second round draft pick, and now he is the highest paid player in the league. So yeah, where you're drafted doesn't necessarily mean a ton. It just really means how much signing bonus you're
Right.
going to get right away. But your second contract, if you do what you're supposed to during those first 4 or 5 years, is where you're going to really make your big generational money. So that's if I was a player, I'd be more concerned about the team I went to and having a good team to play with, as opposed to maybe going to a bad football team that is going to pay me more money because I'm a higher round draft pick, but I'm not going to have the success, which gets me to that second contract.
Right. So getting in that right situation with the right coach and the right players around you is really more important, is what you're saying.
No question about it. And I don't think a lot of players think like that because ego has a lot to do with it. And everybody wants to be a first round draft
Right.
pick, but everybody can't be that. And at some point, they're going to go in the second round and the third round. But what you have to do is, once you get into a camp, is prove yourself and prove how good you are no matter where you were drafted. Look at Tom Brady, sixth round draft pick, but he's got 7 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah, I was looking at a list yesterday. You got like Roger Staubach, Bart Starr. I mean, you have great players who, like yourself, who either went late or weren't even drafted. So you see what that means. Warren, what's the advice for these guys? You've got kids who are young adults who are 20, 21, 22 years old. They're going to be famous. They're wealthy overnight. What's the advice for these guys?
I think the big thing is just make sure that you're going to go in and be humble. You're going into a pro football team where guys are going to be looking at you and sizing you up. Veteran football players are wondering, how good is this guy? They're going to pay him all this money or whatever it might be. You want to go in there and be as humble as you possibly can, try and learn as much as you possibly can from these veteran football players, and just try and be yourself. Don't try and be anything else, because they'll be able to see through that. But being humble, I think, first of all, and being respectful of the guys that you're going into that locker room with for the first time is going to be very important, because you want to get off to a good start with those guys and create a great chemistry with your teammates.
Before I let you go, we talked about Young and Stroud, two other guys who have. You've had a lot of people talking about Anthony Richardson, especially after what he did at the combine. I mean, gosh, what an athlete and what an arm, and Will Levis too. Warren, a guy I think he's got all the skills, but then you watch the tape and maybe there's some sort of disconnect there. Feelings on Richardson and Levis.
Just like you said, tremendous possibilities for these two guys. I don't think either one of them are ready to play day one, maybe not even their first year, but I think they have tremendous upside. And if they can go to a team that has a veteran quarterback that might have a couple of years left in his career or whatever that they can learn from, and they don't have to be in a hurry to put them on the football field, I think these two guys can have a long, successful careers if they're not put out there too quickly.